Hello, welcome back. This is Craig. In this tutorial, I'll be talking about Photoshop's Lasso tool. It's a tool that's been around for a long time in Photoshop and one that comes in handy when you want to select images that you control with a freehand. So to keep it simple, we go to the third tool down here, the Lasso tool, and this will allow me to just grab anything. I'll click and drag, and I can grab any kind of shape I can draw, and it will turn that into the marching ants or a selection. So if I hold my command key down, I can now cut this and move it to another part if I want to. If I want to grab something that has, say this has kind of a white background, I can select this area and cut this and move it. Again, I'm holding my command key down to get the little scissors to move something. If I hold my command key and my option key down at the same time, you'll see I get a double arrow, one black and one white. That means I'm going to duplicate my selection, so I can move this and I will get a duplicate of that selection. So it's not as exact as using the pen tool or using a rectangle or elliptical marquee. But there's a lot of times when you want to grab something that is a very odd shape and you want to grab around this little boy's head here. I can draw around this and split the curve. Now for this purpose I'm showing you how to use the lasso tool. For this I really would prefer to use the pen tool. Now if I want to adjust my selection, if I zoom in here, you see I have this little bit extra here. This works like a lot of the other selection tools in Photoshop. If I hold my option key down, you'll notice that I get the negative or the minus symbol. So I can just select this little bit here that I don't want, and it removes that. If I have a little bit extra here, I can come in and I can remove this. You can see I'm just fine-tuning it. The shift key, like the other tools, will add to it. So if I wanted to add, maybe I wanted to add the neck here. We'll go around this, and then I will release, and that will add that to my selection. So now we go back. If I want to cut this, again my command key brings up the scissors, and I can cut that and put it somewhere else. Or I can hold my command and option, and I can duplicate that, and we'll give him a second head here. Now, most of the time this will just give you a real clean edge if you have feathers set at 0. That's the default. If I want to feather my selection, which I want to quite a bit because most things in the world aren't a real hard clean edge, you want to feather them a little bit, I will increase my feather. Let's just put a 5 feather blur on there. And now when I make a selection and I cut it, you'll see that it has blurred this 5 feathers. Well, feathered it out, same thing as blurring on here. The edge, feathered the edge 5 pixels. So I'll put that back. If I want just 1 or 2, I can type 2 in there, and now I get, let's put this up here. Now you'll see it blurs the edge on this just a little bit, feathers it by 2 pixels, and feathers it on here by a couple of pixels as well on the selection that I just moved. It works the same if I want to duplicate it as well. You will see on here I have that feathered edge. So it works pretty well. For selecting things, you can put a little blur on there. One trick that I've used for a long time before we get into a little bit newer tool, which is the Polygonal tool, the lasso tool here, is if you want to, with your lasso tool, there are times when you want to select something on the diagonal. And if you're like me, it's really hard for me to draw a diagonal selection like this and make it perfect. So what we've learned to do over the years, before the Polygonal Lasso tool, is to simply give it a starting point and a stopping point and let the tool fill in the perfect angle for you, or the diagonal. So let's just say I start here and I loop around and give it an ending point. Now when I release, it draws a perfect diagonal line for me. So this works in some of these areas like this, I could select this, come around here, release. It'll draw something perfectly straight here, where you don't always have the option of, the marquee tool doesn't work because that doesn't work at an angle. So it's good for using that. It's a good use for that. The second tool under here, which we'll cover just quickly, I'm not a big fan of this, but it works sometimes, is the Polygonal Lasso tool. And that does just what we did, only it allows you to click once and draw these polygonal shapes if you want, or polygons, or you can do whatever you want, any type of angle that you want. And then we notice, like most tools in Photoshop, when you bring the selection to the end, it gives you that little circle to show that you're going to close that selection, and now you have that selection. Again, Command will cut that shape. Command Option will make a duplicate of that shape. And you can also blur, you can also blur this selection as well. Sorry, I keep hitting the wrong key there. You can blur the selection as well. So that is the lasso tool in Photoshop and the Polygonal Lasso tool in Photoshop. I hope you find that helpful. Thank you.